Welcome to today's Fortra Solution Overview session. Today I'm going to give you an overview of the SQL Business Intelligence Solution by Fortra. Today's session is meant to be a high-level overview, so if you would like to see more after you watch, you can schedule a live demo with us where we can go more in depth around your business use case. The SQL Business Intelligence Solutions help organizations bring together all your company's data to tell stories that are insightful and actionable. The SQL Business Intelligence Solution is a complete solution that allows you to do everything from importing of existing queries that you might have created already, or creation of new views inside the application. Create pivot tables, reports, scripts for automation, and dashboards over your live and or historical data. It also offers a wide variety of distribution methods, either for the user to be able to either interactively via a web browser access the data, or automated distribution methods to be scheduled via email or dashboard access deployment methods. Again, you can create the views and queries to do drill downs, pivot tables to slice and dice the data, build custom reports and dashboards so you can see the data in charts and graphs to make the data easier to consume to the users. Organizations' data access strategies need to be simplified so that the complexity of the business data is shielded from the user. Here is a look at the SQL Business Intelligence data access strategy. It allows IT and business analysts and programmers to provide a centralized repository of reusable, promptable queries and for SQL BI objects that users can use in a variety of ways that is truly shielding the user from the complexity of the query and giving the user choices on how they want to access the data. The business can secure the data how they want, and if needed, limit choices to some of the user community and deliver the data in more of in the requested format via an automation or scheduled process using a script or some of the scheduling processing. You can also use Fortra's WebDoc Secure Document Management repository module to store the results of the query and any reports that are generated so the user can access them securely via the web browser interface. And where the data lives, it doesn't matter. SQL BI is built on DB2, IBMI's DB2, but also can reach across multiple platforms to unlock and remove the barriers that businesses face today, especially when you have business systems that are IBMI based and Windows or even Linux based. Again, with SQL BI, you can get more than just importing your queries. You also get the flexibility of deployment for those views and other, you know, ways that business users need to be able to access the data. We are always keeping the end result in mind at all times. So with the SQL BI solution, we offer a variety of ways for users to access the data in the way it's needed and apply automation if needed in some of those different methods to be able to streamline the operations for the business user and also streamline it for the IT teams. With SQL BI, we use a three-step methodology of collecting and discovering live or historical data, understanding and designing around the data that you are collecting for real-time access to your business insights. And this can be done with data-centric views or in more of a graphical manner with graphs and charts to show data stories that are easier to consume. And last of all, you can share and deploy to the business users. Using the web browser interface for zero application footprint, deploy web-based dashboards, or directly access in Microsoft Excel using the SQL BI plugin for Microsoft Excel. Okay, now I'm going to go into a live demonstration here, and I'm going to show you a couple different things here today. Won't be able to get into everything, but I want to show you how we can import queries and access that query via the web browser interface in seconds. And then also I want to go into the, how we can create a prompt inside of that query to make it more of an interactive process for the user and more reusable in that process as well. And then I'll also show a couple different methods here during the process here so you can see some of the other interface capabilities. All right. So first of all, I have my viewpoint designer open here, my viewpoint explorer. What this is going to give me access to do is be able to do a couple different things, right? This is our creation platform, right? So to be able to create different views or objects, I should say, into using the SQL product into the data, right? So with this, I can create different kinds of SQL objects, meaning views, reports, client reports, scripts, tables, client tables. We can create application drill downs and then also dashboards. So we can create all of our different kinds of things inside here. You can also access from this standpoint too. Mostly, I'll show the web browser interface too. That's where most of the users usually access from that standpoint. But this is usually this is 100% used for the design standpoint to be able to design and create and also import the queries. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to show you how we can import a query into the system. So existing query that you might have built already with Query 400 or it could be a query that you programmed and stuff, in an RPG program, so that we can actually import some of those in here. And there's some copy and paste options too. So if you have an SQL statement, you can copy the direct SQL statement in here as well. But I'm going to come in here. I'm going to bring the sales one in here. So I'm going to import that one into the application here. Now that query is imported. So that's how quick it was to import that query. So now if I go to my web browser interface, so say I was a user and you wanted to be able to deploy that query, I can actually go to that query. That query is there and accessible to me now, and then I can double click on that query or right click or to be able to get into that query, and that query is going to be able to display into the web browser. So that's how quick that is from that standpoint. Now a user can interact with this data, not for design, but for accessing the data now. Now we can actually I can save this to Excel. I can do different things here from the user standpoint. So if it was something that they needed to get out of the browser into Excel, it's a click to be able to do that process here, or print, or email the results, or create a graph or chart, or even do subtotaling, which I'll show here in just a minute again in another report. So there's different things you can do there from that standpoint. Now to be able to edit a query, so now to be able to create a new query, we have a new option here, and you can create a new option, new view, which would be our query option there, right? But you can create any of those objects inside of here from that standpoint. Now if I want to edit this one or edit any inside of here, I can come in here and actually right click and say design. And when I'm designing that query, so say in this case here, I want to be able to update that query and maybe put a prompt in or change some of the column data that's coming out of the query and stuff like that. So we can do those different things here from that standpoint to be able to access. So you can see here when the viewpoint opened up here, this is my query. So it shows you the raw SQL statement. So at different levels, you can design. So if you're an expert or if you're a beginner or intermediate, you can use the different interfaces. We have the beginner level here, which is the view builder, which would be more of a tabular structure that they can go through and get basically like a wizard kind of a feel. And then this one here, like I said, is the raw SQL statement. I like to live in the files and fields. It's sort of a blend between the two. It's the visual and the data aspect of it. You can see that we can do a couple different things inside of here. We can do auto joins inside of here. We can join fields by dragging and dropping across the different tables and databases to be able to connect those together. We can drag fields from the top up here into from the databases. We can drag those down into the query to be able to use those as output. So these are the output fields. We can give them alternative names and all that good stuff inside of here to be able to access and sort of clean up that process there and give them sort of a better user experience when the data is exported, right? Like region named, so some of the fields inside the database might not be named the way you want them outputted. So we can update that information very quickly inside of the alternative names and stuff like that inside of here. Now, in this case here, I want to, so yeah, and I'll show you how you can actually, create a prompt here. But before that, I just want to show you, so you can add databases to this as well. So if you want to add a database file to this, you can just right click and then search for that database file, and then give access to it from here. Now for the going back to the prompt option here, I can drag a field down here, and there's multiple ways to do this, but I can build a prompt inside of here to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to build a prompt, and I want that to prompt on customer number, and mine is going to prompt inside of here to be able to um, input fields, right? So I can have a drop-down box that's populated from a database. So I can actually use the customer database here, or the customer table inside of the database to be able to fill that information in. I'm just going to do a typable prompt inside of here so you can sort of see that here today. Then I'll show you some of the other examples here as well. So I'm going to save those results. You see when I save those results, or I should say I'm going to access those results here right now. So I'm going to just test it really quick. 100 and then 600, I believe, is my customer number. And that will come back and it's going to save those results out for me with that information inside of it. So that's a way to be able to save those results as an Excel file to be able to look at it. Now, if I wanted to be able to display it right from here, I could display it and actually prompt on it to see how that works. So I can say, hey, you know what? I want to display that and see what that prompt looks like. And this is going to show that, and it's going to show that data here. So if you're testing and stuff like that and you want to see that, you can just do this right through the interface here to be able to see some of the results and stuff like that from that you're accessing. Now, from a deployment standpoint, if I want to save that, I'm going to save that back to a library at that point. I'm going to save that back to my Greg temp folder or a library. And then from that same browser here, when I double click on this, I can actually access that via the browser, and it's going to prompt it. So if I want to be able to access that information from there, I can do that from here. So very easy to be able to do that. So that's that way to be able to design or import and then customize the queries and stuff like that, or even build new queries inside of the application. Now, some of the other functions here I want to show is I'm going to show you a couple, another one here as well, another view that I have, and go into some of the different methods, right, that we talked about. So there's one here. So I'm gonna use this region tab one, right? This is a promptable one. This is one where I can prompt and say, hey, I only want certain ones, or in this case, I'm gonna grab all of them because I want to do some comparison between them. And in this case here, I can actually see that. I can export this information. I can do charts and graphs off of it here at that point. So I can do different things with this information here. I can also do like subtotal information. So if I want a subtotal and I wanted to say, hey, go subtotal all the different, in this case, the periods inside of here. So I want to subtotal all of them, and maybe I want to do some really cool graph and chart to say, hey, I need some comparison data um, around this, and I want to create a nice line chart to be able to show the ups and downs, to be able to see some of the business metrics inside of here, and sort of when our lows and highs are during the year. So you can see that from the application here. So that's another way to be able to do that from from the SQL BI interfaces. So this is the web interface access. So we can do different things like that inside of here. Now these are all, you can right click, we have an actions button here that you can do display, results, email, all that good stuff here. You can even bookmark stuff inside of here. So there's different things that you can do there. And like I said, export out to Excel. You can do that through the interface, directly through this interface. And you can also do Excel functions directly through Microsoft Excel. So we do have those different methods to be able to do that there through Microsoft Excel. With the Microsoft Excel plugin, we can, through Viewpoint, we have a plugin inside here that we can actually access those different queries. So I'm going to go and add a view here. So I can actually click this Add View button. The Add View button is going to prompt me for my IBMI credentials, in that case, for security purposes. So it's going to let me access that, and it's going to give me the capability to be able to select a library. In this case, I'm going to select Greg Temp to show you that same one that we did before. And then I can browse Greg Temp, and it's going to be that one that's still there. And then when I add that there and say OK, it's going to give me a prompt, so I can prompt on it. And this is really nice because it's going to give you in this case, inside of Excel, it's going to give you that promptable capability as well, so you can reprompt on information if you need to as well. So I can go and grab that 100-600 customer number and then grab that information and populate it into the Excel spreadsheet. Now, I can save this. So if I want to reuse this one, I could save this, create another tab, add another view inside of here, and then save this to my desktop and then reopen that every morning and reprompt on that information to update. So you can do different things like that to be able to streamline, the processes in between your daily operations. That is the end of today's overview demonstration. I want to thank everyone for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.